This is where we left off in the modeling of the lightsaber. And I want to do a couple more things real quick here, see how much time I've got. I'm going to put something on here, so I'm going to select those, Shift D and P to break them out, and take that piece, and down in the curves, because it is a curve, I'm just going to increase the size of that. Maybe I'll scale that in the Y just a little bit. That's just going to be there for something. I'm not going to do any more with it. I'm not going to close it up yet till we convert that to a mesh. And I was looking at this and I was thinking I might want to do something different. I had an idea here. I'm just going to hide that. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make a change to this. I'm going to go into Edge Selection, Shift Alt and click that. I'm going to come up a couple of levels and I'm going to delete those vertices. And then in Edge Selection, I'm going to select here. I'm going to pull this out further like this. So I'm off the diagram now. I'm going to do something else here. Now I'm going to curve that under. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an edge loop there, Control R, and then Control B to make a space like this. Make it nice and big. E and Alt S, and I'm going to pull so it comes down. Then I'm going to drag an edge loop over here, and an edge loop over here. And I may even put an edge loop in there, and I think the way I'll do that is just Control B and split it out like that. And I'm going to bring my 3D cursor there, Shift S, cursor to selected. So my 3D cursor's there. I'm going to bring in another circle now, and I'm going to make this 64 vertices. Go into edit mode, rotate Y 90, press 1 for vertex selection, and scale it down. So it sort of wraps in and fits there. And I'm just going to push it over here and extrude it out. So this is a separate piece that's going to fit into that little groove there. All right. Now I'm going to focus on that with the slash key. And in edge selection number 2, E and S, I'm just going to scale that in just a little bit. This one too, E and S, to scale it in a little bit. And then in face selection, Shift Alt and click that right there. I'm going to press I twice, I, and that will inset each individual piece. I'm holding down Shift to go slower. I'm going to do this kind of thing, and then E and Alt S, and I'm going to pull, and that's going to push those out, something like that. And then I'm going to switch to individual origins and scale, and that's going to allow me to scale them individually, just to give a bit of a different shape to it. And I'm going to put a bevel modifier on there. I'm probably going to go up to 2. All right, and I'll shade smooth, and then I'll add weighted normal and normal's auto smooth, and just watch it. And it just cleans it up. Slash key to bring that back. And then look at this, select the whole thing, and then just scale it in until I feel like it fits. I might widen it, scale it in the X. Just like this, just another thing in there. And then I'll come in here and we'll just tighten this up by bringing an edge loop up here and maybe an edge loop down there. And then we'll bring the other stuff back. And now I've got this front piece, and I'm just going to pull it out a little bit, and we'll see that that would fit in there. I just felt like this thread was too close to that thread, and I wanted something else there. Maybe you turn this and that adjusts the laser or something, or maybe, I don't know, it's just a design element. All right, I've got the reference image in there, and because I've expanded this and moved stuff around, I'm a little off the diagram. It shouldn't be too much of a problem because we only have a few more pieces to do. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create this button panel up here. So all I really need to do is focus on maybe those 2 things there. All right, so I got this piece. Let's come in and bring the 3D cursor there for the moment. So if not, we'll just center it by eye. Yeah, okay. Okie doke, that's fine. Let's bring it up and just have it centered relative to that. So anyhow, I'm off the diagram now. Okay. All right, well, I could look at the diagram. Just want to do this kind of thing here, like this. I'm going to scale this in the Y to make it thinner. Something like that. We could try that. And I'm going to extrude up. I think I'm going to make it a little bit longer, scale it in the X, like that, just to match the diagram a bit more. Select that top. I'll go into wireframe, and I'm going to scale that in. And that's okay like that, something along that line. Okay. Now I'm going to delete that top face, I think. Do I want to delete it? I think I'll delete it. And I'm going to Shift Alt and click these edges right here. And we're going to bevel those. Control B, pull, and give it a nice bunch of rounding. Really, I probably just need 5 because I'll probably still put a subdivision surface on this. Just make sure it's going to be immersed. So I probably will have to raise it. So in wireframe, I'm going to grab the top and just pull it up. I'm going to do that kind of thing. And if there's a bottom on it, I'll delete that bottom face. And let's see what we want to do here. Okay. What I'm going to do now is Shift Alt and click there. Actually, I think I will, yeah, let's do that. E and S and come in. Maybe I'll scale this in the Y a bit, like that. I'm going to come down, extrude down. I'll extrude down straight. And then E and S, I'll come in and I'll just even them out by scaling in the Y and scale back in the X a little bit. Just want to do that for another layer. I actually don't want it that deep, so I'm selecting it all and I'm going to pull it up maybe about there. And then I'm going to select that edge and just extrude it down a bit. All right, I'm going to put something else in there. Before I do that, though, let's bevel the edges. So Shift Alt and click those edges and Control B, pull. I think I only need probably 3. So I'll put a subdivision and I'll do the same on this one. Control B. This it'll catch a bit more light and look a little nicer. I can shade smooth that, and then I'll have to put on that auto smooth stuff. So first I'll put on weighted normal, and normal's auto smooth, and we should have it looking okay. However, we should check that, yeah, okay, everything's okay there. Okay, now let's select this. Just get something that's central like that, and I'm going to bring in a plane. Scale it down, and we're going to punch holes in that plane, so it's a lot easier to do it with just a separate piece that's just sitting underneath there. Maybe down a little bit, and we're going to do the buttons here. Okay, and to do those I just need to bring in a cylinder, keep it at a relatively high number, 22, 24. I'm not really worried about polys, but just want a nice smooth hole. And I'm going to want 3 buttons, so maybe I'll come here and we'll try just arraying this and just get a nice distance, maybe there and there, and that's all I'm really going to put up at the top there. So I'm just going to leave it like that. I just want to make sure that these are recalculated outside. Select this plane, Boolean difference, and select these guys to make a hole. Apply. Let's hide those for the moment. We now have our holes, and I want to make them go in. I'm not going to change any polys here. I sometimes would use the knife tool and clean this up, but I don't think I'm going to need to. Just want to select all around the circle, make sure I'm getting every piece, and we're just going to extrude down and then bevel that hole. So let's extrude, pull it down a little ways, and then I'm going to come back up, and I got to do the same thing. So select all this stuff here and all this stuff here. I'm going a little quick because my son's in the background, and we're going to see how much I can do. Hopefully we don't run into any trouble with beveling here. Put a few edges in there to catch some light. We can shade smooth that, and if we need to, put on modifier. Let's bring those things back. Now, I'm going to pull these up, and I'm actually, no, I won't array it. Let's pull this up a bit and get rid of the bottom. Make some interesting buttons here. Well, I don't know, interesting. I'm going to pull down and do this kind of a thing. That's okay. Yeah, something like that. And maybe we'll pull this up a little bit. Select it and pull it down. Now those are going to go in there, but I'm also going to do something else. So I'm actually going to, let's see, I'm going to Shift D to duplicate. I'm going to go into wireframe, pull down, and I'm going to go into individual origins and S to scale. I'm going to put an emission on this thing, little lights underneath there. So that's okay for the moment. We can leave those. And I'm going to probably, well, I won't delete yet. I'm just going to shade smooth. I'm all over the map right now. What I'll do is I'm going to apply the array and come in here and separate these three on their own. So I'm selecting a piece and Control L, P to break them out. So I have these three and these three. All right, and they'll have separate materials on them. So there is that. Let me just double check that this guy's not flipped. Okay. So everybody is looking good, except I see that this ring is flipped. Select it, Alt and recalculate outside. And we are relatively good. Let's go back to median point. Let's, what am I doing? Let's shut off that. And which one am I working on? Let's shut off that. Let's come to the back now and do a similar thing we just did to those buttons. Let's select a circle, Shift D and pull it out. You could do it this way. I'm going to scale it down a little bit, P to break it out. I do have a subdivision on. I'll turn that off for the moment. Let's extrude back. I could just copy the other ones, but I'm going to scale it up a bit. I'm going to take this end and F to make a face, and then I'm going to bevel back, Control B, come back like that, roll up a bunch, and I will have my button like that. And I think for this one, I'm going to delete this face. All right, so I mean, it's a slightly different curvature than these ones, but that's okay because it's in a different position. I'm going to do that, but just before I do that, actually, I want to copy this. Shift D, scale it a bit, pull it in, go into wireframe in case you need to see the thing and trust that it's there. P to break it out. That's what I needed to do. So I've got that one and I've got another one in there. I can shade smooth that. I'm going to put an emission on that one, bring this one back though. And this one, I'm going to delete that face. I'm going to shade smooth, but I'm also going to put on solidify. Let's put, I probably don't need the subdivision. I'm going to get rid of it for the moment. Take both of these though, by the way, and just pull it in a little bit. I'm going to have to scale them both up just to sort of fit in that hole. But for this one, I'm going to put on solidify because it's open. And I may want to have, I'm going to apply that. And let's see, I probably should do this actually with materials, but let's just bevel there, just with like that. All right, I like it open, and then this one is here, and we'll see how that all looks when we do the materials. That's going to be it, except let's just, so we don't forget, let's convert this to an actual mesh. Let's get rid of the subdivision, come to the curves, change this resolution to either 3 or 4. I'll use 4, and then convert to mesh. All right, so that's now a mesh. And if you want, you can put on subdivision again. We'll see. And this same thing. It's a curve. Let's give it just 3. Convert to mesh. And then let's close it. There we go. E and S come in. E and S come in, and then bevel these edges, and that should clear up the shading. Bevel, just like that. And just before I leave this, let's go back and double check. Yeah, it looks like this one here needs to be flipped, and everybody else is good. All right, that. All right, let's do this and see what we've got. So we've converted that to a mesh now. We've got our what we're going to have is light there. We got some buttons. I'll just debate if I want that on the side, and then I will push all these pieces back together and finalize any modeling, and then we can move on to the materials. Great. Thanks for watching.